pen friends, this is Sarah. Today I'm going to be doing a comparison of the 4 fountain pens in my collection that have gold extra fine nibs. So I have the Lamy 2000, the Sailor Professional Gear, the Wasp Clipper, and the Omas 90th anniversary. So actually, extra fine nibs are not my favorite width of nibs, and most of these pens I sort of didn't realize, well actually I was kind of forced into getting an extra fine nib on them. So the Lamy 2000 Blue Bauhaus only came with an extra fine nib, as did the Omas 90th anniversary in Saft. And this Wasp Clipper is a vintage pen, and I was told that it had a medium nib, but it really writes like an extra fine. And then this Sailor Professional Gear is actually the hard medium fine nib, but in comparison with how these other ones write, I would say it's more like a Western extra fine. Alright, so I enjoy all of these pens, but they do really write, the way that they feel when I write with them is very different. You might not be able to see a lot of difference in what the writing looks like on the paper, because they all have a very similar width of line, but the feedback that I get from each one is quite different. So I'm going to start with the Lamy 2000 Blue Bauhaus. So this is a very limited edition pen, and I put myself on the lottery for being able to buy the pen from Goulet Pens, and I was chosen as someone who could buy it. I did not previously have any Lamy 2000, but after I bought this one, I was thinking about maybe switching out the nib, and I bought a black one with a medium nib to possibly switch out the nib, but I actually really enjoy using both of them, so I've kept both of them. And when I hold them together, you can see that the colors are, you know, pretty. The blue is very dark, so in poor lighting it's hard to tell the difference, but I do enjoy having 2 different colors. And it was finally being able to get a blue one that convinced me to get the Lamy 2000, even though I had heard a lot of great reviews. It's got a very simple design. It's pretty, but as you can see from my other pens, I tend to go for more like patterned celluloids and just something a little bit more patterned. But since I've had these, I mean, the texture of them is wonderful. This is a macrolon material, and it's, you can kind of see the texture, and when you hold it, it feels really nice. Also, the caps are the kind that click right on instead of being a threaded cap, and it's makes it very quick to use. So I'm going to give a little writing sample of this. This is a 14 karat gold nib, and Lamy 2000, and that's the blue Bauhaus. Sorry about that. I just lifted the pen a little bit, but I can see that I need to get this in view better. Sorry about the shadows today. I couldn't get it arranged so that the shadows wouldn't fall right over the writing. But it's got a little bit of bounce to it, and you know, it's a round nib. It works. The lines are about the same width in one direction as the other. If I put a little pressure, I can get a little bit more width, but not a lot. And it's very smooth, and I enjoy that tiny bit of bounce and the smoothness of it, and I was just really impressed with that being an extra fine nib, how smoothly it wrote. Alright, now we're going to move on to the Sailor professional gear. So this particular color is called Black Velvet, and it's part of their cocktail series. This is one of the first gold nib pens that I bought because I had heard a lot of really good reviews of Sailor pens. When I got it, I was surprised by the width of the line that I got from it, and also that pencil-like feedback that people talk about. It's not a very smooth writer, but it's not unpleasant. So this is the Sailor professional gear, and this is the Black Velvet, which is apparently the name of a cocktail. I've never had that cocktail before, but I thought that the color of the pen was pretty. So if I give it a little pressure, you do get a little bit more width to the line. But this is a very stiff nib. It's a 21 karat gold nib, and I do enjoy having a variety of different feeling pens. Like when I write with them, I enjoy the different feeling that they give me. But I have to say that this pencil-like feedback is not one of my favorites. I can see how other people like it. It's just not up my alley. I prefer softer nibs, and this is a really stiff nib. But if you want to have a feeling like you're controlling your line, that could be good. It's got a very crisp line, and I do enjoy this color. It's kind of like a spark. It's got sparkles in it, and it's brown, or like a reddish brown. So I think that's interesting. All right, now I'm going to move on to the Wasp clipper. On it, it says, "The Clipper Wasp Pen Incorporated," and I guess that these pens were made by Schaefer, so it has a Schaefer lifetime nib on it, and I don't know if there's an indication of whether it's fine, medium, or broad on it, but I find that it writes like an extra fine. And Wasp clipper. The reason I bought this pen is I think that this plastic is beautiful. As you can tell, I like brown, shiny pens. And the patterns are really awesome. Alright, so this color is called Brown Circuit Board, and that's not what Wasp called this pattern. It's just what people call it now. They call it Brown Circuit Board, and there's also like a green and a blue. If you look them up online on the Fountain Pen Network, you can see a lot of beautiful variations of the circuit board pattern. So this is also a stiff nib, but it actually, it writes a little bit wider on the downstroke and thinner on the side stroke, so that it gives you a little natural line variation without getting it from the pressure you put on the pen. It just gets it because the downstroke is broader than the side stroke, and it writes really wet, and I think this one might be my favorite extra fine pen. I'm not really a collector of vintage pens, but I just thought this was a beautiful pen, and I've been really pleased with it writing. So this is a lever filling pen, and it had been restored, although they didn't actually put any glue to connect the grip section to the barrel, so this part just comes out, and I actually find it easier to fill it just by squeezing the sack itself instead of using the lever. So I don't know if it's like against the law to do that, but that's what I do, and that makes this a really usable vintage pen for me. I only have 3 vintage pens in my collection, but I enjoy that one quite a bit. Alright, and now for the last one. This is the Omas 90th anniversary, and it came in a set of 3 pens, each one with a different width nib. And so this color, each of the 3 pens in that set were a different color, and the Saft Green only came with the extra fine nib, and I really love that celluloid, so I decided to keep this pen even though it's extra fine, which wouldn't be my preference, but I was quite happy with how it wrote. So this is the Omas 90th anniversary, and it's kind of the shape of it is the same as the vintage style Paragon pens that Omas made, and so this is a celluloid called Saft Green, and like all of my Omas pens, this one has quite a bit of line variation. You get quite a thicker line when you press down because the nib is kind of flexible, even though it's not the extra flexibile. I have the extra flexibile, and they do flex with less pressure, and they flex more, but even the regular 18 karat gold nibs that they made do have a lot of bounce and give to them. And so I find that this one writes just a tiny bit less fine than the other ones do, but it's pretty smooth and it's fun to have that little bit of bounce, and I really enjoy this one also. So I think that wraps it up. I'm going to go back to the clipper and tell you I think this is a 14 karat gold nib. I know I didn't mention that. I'm not sure if it says on here. Okay, and now I'll just mention what color inks I have in these pens. So the first one was Iroshizuku Shinkai, and the next one was Noodler's North African Violet. The next one was Robert Oster Jade, and the last one was Delta Black. Alright, please let me know if you have any questions. Oh, I should go back over these once more and mention that the Lamy is a piston filler. The Sailor has a converter. Sorry, this takes a while to get open. There it is, the converter. I told you the Wasp is a lever filler. So there's the lever, and the Omas is a piston filler. So this is the piston knob at the end here. Alright, please let me know if you have any questions, and I guess that'll be it for now. Thanks a lot. See you in the next one.